All right, hello friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's try to make sure we're doing it right. I should be broadcasting one channel on YouTube and one on Facebook. Not like yesterday. For a little while, evidently, I was somehow through the miracle of high technology, I was broadcasting two broadcasts on Facebook at the same time. Not even sure how I did that, other than hello Drivo, or is it Drivo? Drivo. Hello Uncle 60, good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, and it says over here that Facebook is broadcasting. Let's see if I can get a monitor going for you. There we go. Yahoo! Wasn't that easy? Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, let's get official here. Again, to you Facebook people, welcome. You are the newcomers to this party. The old timers here. Some of us have been doing this for 870 times. This is Daily Art Adventure number 871. I'm calling it Early Stages. That's not a very satisfactory clap. By the way, this is all a little bit of humor. Not much, you understand. Just a little bit. I entertain myself, okay? That's half the reason I do this broadcast, which is really a good thing because I'm not making any money at it yet. All right, it sounds like I'm complaining, and believe me, I am not. I am complaining about the fact that I just put my brushes down. I can't find them. Here they are. All right, so I am doing, again, I'm very excited. I have 5 more portraits to do with my strangely named coronavirus portrait special. We're all up to our eyeballs in interesting times, aren't we? Nobody saw this coming. Nobody but nobody saw this coming. And hang on a second. I'm playing with my music list. Okay, that's enough. Hang on a second. I have music playing in the background that I don't know if you can hear it or not. I'm assuming you can hear little bits and pieces of it periodically. You heard it when it quit there, didn't you? All right, so I've subscribed to a music service called, just for what it's worth, I'll tell you, it's called Epidemic Sound. I'm quite happy. Pay them about $15 a month, and it keeps me out of a lot of trouble with YouTube and Facebook, of course, who both would get me in trouble, so to speak, if I played copyrighted music. So we don't want to do that. No siree. That's what got me into trouble with Facebook 3 years ago, and caused me to beat a hasty retreat. Well, they kicked me out for 2 months anyway. And that's what caused me to switch over to YouTube over 3 years ago. So I've been meaning to get back for a long time, but I've had a lot of technical issues to work through. Finally, I've worked through some of them. That's why you people on Facebook are watching me at least a little bit. All right, so I have. I was talking about the coronavirus special. We're all in this interesting time. Hello, David again. Yeah, I do know if I got a new clapper, it would ruin my humor, my humorous. Believe me, when it broke a couple weeks ago, I thought, oh, I got to buy a new one. I thought, wait a minute, why would I buy a new one? This is crazy. I mean, funny. Anyway, so I fixed it with a metal plate and a Band-Aid. I entertained myself. Anyway, because we are living in interesting times, I decided, heck, I got to stay home. Maybe somebody wants their portrait done, and they've been waiting for me to do one of my crazy super bargain specials. So that's what I'm doing. I am doing portraits. I'll do yours, not this week, but next week, for a measly $350. And yeah, that's pretty measly. But I'm not complaining. It's keeping me off the street, so to speak. And I get to practice my portraiture. All right, so the one I'm working on right now, let's zoom in so you guys can see what I'm doing. There's my photograph up there. There's my photograph. And when you offer to do yes, Uncle, please. And in fact, I noticed that you did something like that. You reposted, you invited somebody. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Horatio, a.k.a. Uncle 60. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell people your real name. As long as I don't spell it, you're safe. And they'll never find you. Anyway, so I am doing these portraits at a really low price. And I actually finished 6 last week because I took the opportunity to finish a portrait I had started a couple years ago of my granddaughter Lake. So I finished that one. And I just muddled through till I got it right. And enjoying it very much, and enjoying interacting with all you people that I presume you're stuck inside your house pretty much the way we are stuck inside ours. In fact, the county we live in, Wake County, North Carolina, issued, like many other places, issued a stay-at-home order. Just a long list of things you can do, of course. You can go to a grocery store, you can go to a doctor, you can go to a pharmacy, and so forth. But anyway, you're not supposed to be out doing anything unless you've got a written excuse from your mother. I'm kidding about the mother part. All right. I'm going to put, so I was going to say this. When you put the word out that you invite people to do portraits, you get back interesting things. And I'm delighted to be doing this year painting. But it's certainly not what I expected. This is barely a portrait, but that's all right. I'm going to enjoy doing it. It's going to be fun. It's a fun little challenge. I would call it a landscape with a figure in it, but that's all right. So in some respects, of course, it's actually easier than most of my portraits, right? Because it's really just a figure in a landscape painting. Although it is going to be quite the challenge to try to capture a likeness. I'm already very close, but it's going to be a challenge to capture a likeness at that size. All right, let's put that away and pull up a blank canvas. Since you were here, since we were together yesterday, I got one more order, Yahoo, and I'm really excited about it. So here's the blank canvas. Whoops. My little trick here for holding my reference photo won't work. What am I going to do? Well, I'll put it up here for now. There we go. That just gives me a place to tape again my reference. Otherwise, I'll put this right here. All right, so let me show you first of all. So here it is. This is Holly. Beautiful bridal portrait. she's paying a little bit more because she's getting herself a dog and a landscape, so a little bit more. But it's such a beautiful, beautiful bride and beautiful photograph that I opted to do it anyway. One of the chief reasons I'm doing this super bargain deal, if that does work, is because I want practice doing portraits. I think I talked about that quite a bit yesterday. All right, back to my long-handled brushes. Yahoo! Hello, Jane. Oh, Jane, you did. You are one of those that followed me, didn't you? That's right. Thank you. And hello, Melinda. Good to see you. I'd forgotten that, Jane. I remember now that you mention it. Yep. There were very few that did follow me. Most did not make the connection. It's funny. Evidently, a lot of people that do Facebook do not do anything else. They don't do YouTube. So, okay, you guys can barely see my photo over there, right? I'm just going to do some real basic. Whoops, we got some noise happening. Hang on just a second. That should fix it. It also means if I broadcast for any length of time, I'm likely to disappear because the battery will die. There's a great chat from somebody else in Ontario. Well, somebody else in Canada, I should say. Redina, I've got a couple regulars from Canada. David, I hope it's okay if I tell people where you're from. David's from Canada, Redina's from Vancouver. And now we have somebody else who just tuned in from Canada. I look forward to it. And it's Elsie. Welcome, Elsie. We need this release. I hope so, Elsie. That's what I think. That's what I'm thinking. I could serve humanity ever so slightly. Now, I don't take myself too seriously, but such as it is, let's try to make the most of a difficult situation. Glad to be here for you. Right now, at the moment, I'm doing a lot of Betty Edwards drawing on the right side of the brain trick. I'm drawing the blank spaces between things more than I am drawing the things themselves. Boy, those ratios look pretty good. Sometimes I get quite surprised at how close I get in my initial scribbles. And I'm talking here really about when I'm doing my normal cityscape. My normal. I do more cityscapes than anything. I enjoy cities. I enjoy architecture. I enjoy the juxtaposition of straight lines with organic shapes, or organic shapes with straight lines. So that's why I don't do many nature scenes. I did as a kid, as a young man, because I liked painting, the classic, the classic landscape, mountain, dramatic sky, mountain, moose, mountain stream, wolf chasing moose, that kind of stuff. But over the years, I've grown that if it doesn't have some all those are organic shapes. They're all organic. And I really enjoy, as I said, the juxtaposition, the combination of architectural straight lines. Boy, that head is way too big, isn't it? Please ignore the fact that that head is way too big. I'm going to ignore it at least for a minute. This is what I'm doing right now is pretty typical of my work process in this regard. That I don't. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm not saying this is. I'm not claiming that this is the way to paint. I'm just saying that's typically the way I paint, which is I don't spend a lot of time preparing, pre-guessing, pre-measuring, anything like that. I just start drawing. The long brushes help. Oh, by the way, I had a broadcast earlier this afternoon. I did an illustration for a client. Some of you might have seen it. This is what I did. So I've already completed one work of art today, so to speak. It's a pen and ink architectural rendering of a gazebo, and I spent way too much time on it, but we had a good time anyway. And while we were doing that, one of my friends did a search for, first of all, for these long-handled brushes. Searched long enough to discover that no, they are unavailable. Darn. So only if you can, only if you can find them used somewhere. I am having my problems, aren't I? I found I couldn't see this edge of I couldn't see one end of the edge of the photograph because of the canvas. I'm going to move you guys around and see if you could see it a little bit better too. Here we go. Hang on. There. Now you can kind of see the reference. Got it? Say, Elsie, good to have you here. Light blue. That's funny. You don't remember when I had a mullet. You remember when I had a ponytail. That's funny. Yes, I did indeed. And I would still have it if I could support it. In fact, I'm in that honestly. I looked at myself in one of my videos for a few minutes, either last night or this morning. I don't remember which. Dang, I've got to do something with that hair. If there's anybody out there with a really super duper sense of fashion, let me know. I'm thinking about not shaving it, but essentially buzz cutting it, just making it a quarter inch long all the way around, so that I can get rid of the dagwood bumps above each temple. Not a fan of the dagwood look. Anyway, somebody this morning, I keep interrupting myself. Get used to it. I just seem to be addicted to interrupting myself. Somebody looked for these brushes. They're not available. Tragically, I've got about 50 of them left, but they're all, you know, on their last fibers, so to speak, all of them. And I said, well, Rosemary sells some long handle brushes, and alas, we discovered, with the little research that Richard did for us this morning, that at least so far he can only find them available in Great Britain, prices listed in pounds, and they're only nylon, not bristle, which is bad news for me. I am death on nylon brushes. They just don't work for me. And a number 6 filbert, he said, cost 18 pounds, which if I think that's nearly $2. It's over $35 per brush, and that's a little steep. Anyway, so darn it. That was not happy news this morning. So if anybody finds anything different, please let us know, because when my long-handled Jewel Plein Air Creative by Creative Mark, when these wear out, I'll be up a creek. Because I really, really like these long-handled brushes. The light would bounce off it. It already does that, Uncle. That's the obvious sad truth. The light already bounces off my bald head. And interrupts the broadcast. So that would be nothing new. My next, the 4 boys in my family. I'm the oldest, one 15 months younger than me, 3 years younger than me, and 5 years younger than me, something like that. My parents, boy, they pumped out some kids. 6 kids in 9 years. Can you believe that? Man, they don't make parents the way, they don't make mamas the way they used to. And 3 of us 4 boys all have the same hair calamity. all have the same. The youngest, who we all hate, has considerably more hair than the rest of us. Anyway, and my next youngest brother has sported and we all look quite a bit alike. And he has sported a shaved head for, whoops, this line's wrong. Isn't it fun when you find a line that's wrong? That is just really exciting. I'm serious as I can be, by the way. That could sound like sarcasm. It's not. Early on, in the early stages, I should say. In the late stages, it is not fun to find. As I said, as I have done a broadcast more than once on moving a feature, like just the other day, I did one on moving a beautifully rendered eyeball in a portrait that I thought was nearly finished, and then came to find out that one of the lake's beautiful eyes was just in the wrong place. Had to move it about an 1/8, 16th, or an 1/8 inch to the right. And the main point of that broadcast was that it's not as disastrous as it sounds. It is disastrous, but it's not as disastrous as it sounds. It doesn't really take as long as you think. Once you've gone through the hard work of accurately rendering, beautifully rendering any feature, nose, mouth, ear, eye, the work is not lost if you do it the right way, if you move it the right way. And if you want to know what that is, if you missed that broadcast, that was just yesterday, you can go back and pick that up. I'm actually going to go ahead and even do some of the button dimples in this overstuffed sofa. This will be a fun. Whoops, there's a mistake. What is it? What is the mistake? There's a mistake, I know, because the distance between the girl's elbow and the dog is too long. But I can't tell if probably the whole girl needs to move to our left. Darn. Do I want to do that? Because it'd be so much easier just to move the dog to the right. Yep, that's what we're going to do. We're going to move the dog to the right. Nobody will be the wiser. And basically, by the way, of course, I would rather get it accurate, but I just looked at the painting and said, yeah, okay, but do I want the girl there or there? And I decided I want her where she is, really. So I'll take the easy way out this time and move the dog instead of the girl. Instead of the bride. I don't know if I should be calling her the girl. All right, that's pretty ugly, but it'll do. That'll get us started. Let's put that down. This is the trick, by the way, for those of you who've missed, if you've missed any of my earlier broadcasts last week, any of my portraits, the trick is you avoid the dreaded portrait blindness by working on each portrait only for a short period of time, for a short amount of time, because after that you are, in fact, as we all know, anybody who's done it, you're blind to your mistakes. So, and the conventional trick, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, one thing I haven't done is turn the painting upside down, and a couple of you have mentioned that a couple times, and yeah, that's complete, that's a legal cheat. It is cheating, quote unquote. One of the definitions, or the lines of demarcation between cheating and not cheating, is anything you can do with sitting in front of a live portrait is not cheating. Therefore, turning a painting upside down, and along with that, of course, turning the reference upside down is cheating, because obviously you can't turn the live model upside down. And again, for anybody who's new, all cheating is legal. It's okay to do it. You can do it. You must do it. In fact, but if you cheat, your skills deteriorate. Your drawing skills deteriorate. All right. Speaking of deteriorating, this is my good friend Wright. Unless you're from the South, and it's right. Let's put his picture right there. And I walked into my studio this morning, took one glance at the head that I had painted, went, egads, what was I thinking? Which is great, because that's what fresh eyes do for you, right? And this is actually the third time that I've, at least the third time that I've approached Wright's portrait, maybe even the fourth, I don't remember. Hello, Barbara, again. Ooh, Uncle 60, you made your own long handle brush. The Uncle series, yeah. That's a great idea. Hello, Russell. Listen to me. Rusty. Oh, my internet's going in and out. That's probably mine. Well, our internet has been very slow today. I'm sorry about that. That explains why I only have one viewer on Facebook. I'm driving people crazy. All right, so the main adjustment I need to make on Wright's portrait is I have his face, his head, drawn at a little bit too much of an angle. And I also, I think I had his face drawn a little bit too far that way. I need to move it to our left a little bit. And I think maybe slightly larger, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm not sure about that. I might even do some cheating here in just a minute and and do some checking on the size of his head. Let me go ahead and do some features before I do any cheating, before I pull out a cheater method. My dear Facebook friends, I am very sorry about the bad internet connection. I wonder if it's because everybody's home and watching Netflix in the neighborhood that our internet speed is low. I don't know. $25 for an Uncle Brush. That's a pretty good deal. This is my friend Wright when he was in high school. He is not quite in high school now. If he wants to tell you how old he is, he can get on and tell you himself. Erase my longitudinal line now that it's done its work for the moment. All right, I am going to cheat here a little bit. Let me show you. Here's first of all, I'll try the easy one. A proportional divider. Let's see. I'm going to guess it might be this whole lot. Typically, you have to start. You can't retrofit this divider. Nope. Okay. But every once in a while you get lucky and it's close. Let's see if this is one of those times. Ooh, pretty close. Not close enough. So I'm going to go to a more precise instrument. All right, that's his head. Now, here, let me, no, I can't do that. I wanted to do it so you guys could see what I'm doing, but I'm afraid that. Let's try inside elbow to inside elbow and see how that compares. That. Yeah, very close. Let's try shoulder to shoulder. Whoops, it's maxed out. Okay, just above the shoulder then, right there. Whoops, that's not so good. His head's too big now. Never mind, I can see it. I don't even need to measure it. I just had to take my eyes off it for a few minutes. And then when I glance back at it, it's like, oh, wait, darn, no, that's too big. Okay, easy fix though, pretty easy fix. Why is it an easy fix? I'm assuming you know, or assuming you understand, because I've already got a decent humanoid head rendered, right? It's not screaming at me as if it's some kind of alien creature. No, it's definitely a human, and it looks close enough like the youthful Wright. It's close enough, right? So it's fairly well rendered, if you will, fairly well rendered. And now I know that it's too big. Well, I can use the drawing that's already there, of course, to make changes, to compare to. That's, again, a general principle. When you have to make changes in anything, including portraiture, don't erase the erroneous earlier. Of course, on oil painting, you really can't erase anyway, but don't erase the whole thing, because then you lose your guidelines. So it's a lot easier to redraw than it is to draw. There, never said it that way, but that's a good summary statement. It's a lot easier to redraw a thing because you have something to compare it to than it would be to draw it again from scratch. And I think I have to lower his eyebrows just a little bit, yeah, and probably make his mouth smaller. So. If there are any early journey portrait painters watching me, which is sort of what I hope, because I can sometimes pass on a few tips to you guys that a veteran or inveterate, if you will, that a old-time excellent portrait painter is way beyond anything I'm going to say. I've taught portrait classes several times through the years. Again, it's not my main thing, of course, so it's not what I teach most often, but I love teaching it. And I think one of the things I've observed in my students is that many times I'll have students who come into a portrait class and they cannot draw a human. They can't draw a human head, and no shame there, no shame at all, of course. But that's a sort of a prerequisite, in my opinion, to capturing a likeness. Is you have to be able to draw a believable human head before you really have any real hope of capturing a likeness of a human being, a particular human being. And for that, you need to do some rote homework. And the last several days, picked up my 3 favorite anatomy books several times. Jack Ham, Andrew Loomis, and George Bridgman. You replay that again in slow motion if you don't know that list. Those are my three favorite. Anyways, you have to do some preliminary homework before you're ready to launch into portraiture. Portraiture is the hardest thing in the world. Absolutely the hardest thing in the world. And that's part of the reason why I was so anxious. Why I always, for years, this has been the case, especially since 2012. Yeah. For me, that just happened to be my year. I woke up, I'm being a little facetious here, exaggerating, just for fun. I woke up on January 1st, 2012 and said, I have had it up to here with being intimidated by portraits. I've had it. That's enough of this. This is ridiculous. I am a trained professional and I'm still intimidated by portraits. So I determined to do one portrait every day for the year. I failed miserably, but not really. I ended up doing 287, I think, something like that. I ended up doing 287 portraits, or about that many. So I failed to do one a day, but I did a whole lot of portraits. Way more than I would have if I hadn't set myself the goal. And then, anyway, since then, I continue periodically to just work on doing portraits. It's because it's the last great frontier, the last frontier as an artist. I don't expect my career to take a shift. I mean, crazy things have happened, right? I don't expect my career to shift either to figurative painting or portrait painting. But I would like that to be a decision, not a default setting because I'm lousy at it. Anyway, so a big part of the reason I'm doing these is so that I can just practice. I did discover some years ago, maybe that same year, I don't remember, that if you want to practice at portraits, if you want to get better, you can practice and practice and practice, so to speak, till the cows come home. That's an expression we have here in my part of the world. Practice till the cows come home. You won't ever really get much good until you're being paid, until somebody is paying you for their portrait. Because all of a sudden then everything gets serious, even if they're not paying very much. Like in this case, I'm not being paid very much, but I'm being paid something, and that's enough to put the fear in me that I have to keep working on the portrait till it's perfect. And that made a big difference in my portrait career. You can practice, but you won't ever get really serious until you're doing a portrait for somebody for money, in my opinion. So there you go. Some of you might be ready to take that plunge. And my Facebook must be doing really bad. Light blue was Alan, thank you. For some reason I knew light blue was a guy. I don't know how I knew that. And alien, I'm an alien. I'm a guy. Sorry, I read this right. An alien, yeah, I knew you're an alien. That's good. Well, all of a sudden he looks a lot more human when I've added a little bit of highlights to his face. But I'm already pretty much portrait blind on my good friend Wright, so I'm sure there's no doubt all kinds of errors, but I'm going to, be that as it may, I'm going to leave him for a while here in a minute and come back to him when I have fresh eyes, because I'll be much more efficient. Oh yeah, his chin is not quite long enough, I think. There we go. And I think I've made his cheek just a little too rounded, so let's go ahead and fix that before I go. Likewise, forehead out a little too far. All right, I'm going to practice what I'm preaching, so to speak, and say, it's not right, but it's good enough for now. Because when I come back to it in a while, I will have fresh eyes. So I'm doing 5 portraits in 4 paintings. I've done 3 so far this broadcast, and this is the last one, the last of the 3, which is Wright's parents. And I have the photograph right here. And I think I might be able to leave my easel right where it is. If I pull up a chair and sit down for a while. Much prefer standing up to paint until your feet get so sore, that it becomes counterproductive. So I'm at that point already. It didn't take long, did it? So there's Jim and Sally, also my friends. Hello, Jeremy. Jeremy, I heard a while ago that my feed there on Facebook was pretty intermittent. I am very sorry about that. Our internet has been ridiculously slow today. So I'm sorry if it's bad. If it's bad and you want to watch us, you jump off Facebook and go over to YouTube, where I'm also broadcasting at YouTube, Dan Nelson Art. All right, let's sit back and, for me, hang on, I'll get you here. Take just a minute. There you go. To make comparisons. Okay, Jim's forehead, and I believe his whole front of his face needs to come forward a little bit. Yeah. Yep. So in order to make this change, I'll need to do a little bit of what I did. Nose a little higher. Oh, it's so nice to be able to see these mistakes. And again, for those of you who are portrait painters, even to call the mistake is I don't know, almost a misnomer, an exaggeration. It's at least for me, it's just a process. It's not the kind of mistake that you beat yourself up over. It's just all part of the business. I think even this part of his glasses. I think I'm going to leave his hairline right where it is, but his ear needs to be a little bit longer. Shape, the back of his head's not quite the right shape. A little more square right there. Coming in there. Okay, I'm going to keep on working on Dr. Jim. He was a veterinarian in downtown Raleigh for, hey, right? There's right. Were you here a few minutes ago? No, I was working on you. I just put you down a few minutes ago. I mean, I just set your painting down. I didn't put you down. I put your painting down. Anyway, what fun. Good to have you here. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Wright, who I was painting a little while ago. And I'm painting his parents now. Yeah. All right. Whoops, I moved everything. I moved everything except the top of Jim's hair. That's the front of his hair. Let's do that right now. Again, for any of you who are just joining me, the main lesson, if you will, that's too strong a word, too pompous a word, but I'll leave it anyway. The main lesson I'm trying to convey with this last week and this week is this. I've never heard anybody else teach it, so I only discovered it by accident. It's a long story. I won't go into it right now, but I discovered 2012, the year that I did 287 portrait sketches. I discovered that if you do more than one portrait at a time, you can overcome portrait blindness much more quickly. Again, the traditional approach, the traditional method for dealing with what I call portrait blindness, which is after 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes, I would say at the most 25 minutes, but I'm sure it varies from person to person. You can't see your mistakes anymore. You're just blind to them. Your eye accepts what you've been staring at, and so it makes it very hard to discern where your errors are. And the traditional way of dealing with that, or overcoming that, is by putting the painting down and going to bed. Come back the next day and you see it with fresh eyes. So in other words, sleeping on it. That's the traditional way of dealing with it. But as you can imagine then, it takes quite a long time to get a portrait perfect if after every 20 minutes you have to you can only work on it 20 minutes a day. That's a slight exaggeration, but you catch my drift, I'm sure. So I discovered a way to speed up that process, and it is to work on several portraits all at the same time, one after another. And so that's what I'm doing here. This is right at the moment, the fourth portrait I've worked on since we started this broadcast. So what has it been, 40 minutes? Something like that? Something like that. And so when I picked up, in this case I'll say Jim's, when I picked up Jim's portrait, the last time I looked at it, I did sleep on it, but the last time I looked at it was yesterday afternoon, so I have very fresh eyes. So it was pretty easy for me to see my mistakes. By the way, this principle also answers the question, why is it that when you look at somebody else's portrait, you can see his or her mistakes. Very often you can see the mistakes that the artist has made immediately, and the artist doesn't see them. Conversely, if you're working on a portrait and you show it to one of your fellow artists, they can see the mistakes you've made almost instantly. It's embarrassing sometimes. What? Well, that's why. Because the artist who did the work is experiencing portrait blindness. And the one who's just seeing it for the first time is seeing it objectively. That's why I mentioned the other day I saw Daniel Green. I saw a portrait that Daniel Green, he's one of the biggest portrait painters in America in the last 40 years. I saw a portrait that he did of one of my friends as a demo in a class. My friend was a portrait painter and took one of his week-long classes, or 3 or 4 5-day class, something like that, up in Pennsylvania, I think. And when he brought home the portrait that Daniel Green had done of him, as soon as he put it up on the easel, I went, that ain't right. Look, the distance between the nose and the top lip is wrong. I mean, it wasn't like a matter of opinion. It wasn't like, well, maybe you're just wrong. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that kind of subjectivity. It was clearly, measurably, provably, easily. I could see it clear as day. And so why? It was because I'm better than Daniel Green? Are you kidding? Not even close. It's because Daniel Green worked on the portrait for, an hour or two, whatever. And so he was blind to the mistake, and it was jumped off the page to me. So yeah, as a matter of fact, if you're wondering, well, why don't we have people help us all the time? That is a very good idea. If you could get your friends to help you critique your portrait, to help critique your portraits, but you'd have to have quite the intimate community of artists, because it won't work if you only see them once a month, like I do my painters group, All right, I'm going to leave Mr. Jim. Well, hang on, I'm going to put a little bit of red in his lips before I go. He's clearly not correct. but he's clearly better than he was just a little while ago. And I am already growing blind to my errors. So I'm going to leave him, turn my focus just a few inches to the right, and do his lovely wife, Sally. Yes, right. Right. I told him. I told him you were much older. I said, and I told my, whoever was on at the time, I said, right is, he can tell you, if he can tell you how old he is if he wants to. I told him you were older than that, and I left it up to you to say how old. Light Blue says, I have a friend that uses IG, and she is a slave to it. Instagram, got it. Oh, slave, and that's is a bad way of putting it. Yeah, gotcha, understand. Believe me, I understand. I think we all do. Okay, I said I'm going to leave Jim, but then I saw. So once again, part of the freedom, perhaps, would be fair to say, that you see me enjoying here in this process, is I don't even feel compelled or pressured to stick with a portrait, till I'm happy with it, or till I'm, I just acknowledge, oh, you know what, I know I'm not seeing very well anymore, so let's just leave it and come back when I've got fresh eyes. And you can actually toggle through. So I'm doing 5 portraits, and I could just go back to number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. Now, as a matter of fact, it's 7 o'clock here at my house, and we haven't had supper yet. So I'm actually not going to do that. I'm going to, right, he's 40. Okay, he's admitting, he's telling. So it's been a little while since that picture was taken. It's a favorite, Wright says, of his parents. It's very sweet. And right, this is one of your favorite of your parents, right? That's very sweet too. Look, I'm painting with my left hand. That will diminish slightly. Hello, well, Karen Pearson and Robert Pettyjohn. My goodness, what do you know? What shows up? That is amazing. Greetings, big greetings to both of you, and you guys on Facebook. Evidently, the stream is very choppy this afternoon. So if you want to watch something more reliable, zip on over to YouTube, where we have a much healthier stream, evidently. It's been really special doing your folks, right? I've enjoyed it very much. I mentioned the other day that I'm often surprised how cool cool of a red. Okay, lips are red, but I'm often surprised by what a cool red they are. 'Cause I would have, if I was left to my imagination, I would have thought that lips would be a warm red. But very often they are not. Now, of course, this is lipstick. We know that. But even natural lip color is what I'm talking about. Okay, let's see. Speaking of lips, that lip's in the wrong place. Let's move that up. Going to come in here with a little bit of light something, because if I leave those teeth that dark, that alone will prevent the face from appearing it'll keep me from seeing Sally. Whoops. Once again, I don't need to stay here until I'm fully satisfied. There's so much relief in that. There really is. So I strongly recommend this trick to anybody who's a early journey portrait painter, if you can. Try to come up with some excuse, if you will, some excuse for doing, I would say at least 4. Some excuse for doing at least 4 portraits at the same time. Even to the extent that if you have like one commission, one that you're getting paid for, do 3 for practice at the same time. I've in fact done that in the past. I'm getting paid for 1 portrait, but I'm going to do several at the same time because of this dynamic. Because it speeds up the whole process. It lets me do the one better and more quickly. Isn't that crazy? This is a reality that I stumbled upon in 2012. It's been a great help to my portrait journey ever since. So that doesn't look exactly like Sweet Sal, but it's closer than it was a few minutes ago, closer than it was when I started. And that's good enough. At this point, that's good enough. In fact, she just more of her just appeared. She got closer to herself just in the last couple minutes while I was saying that. The top of her top lip does not curve up here, it curves down. So let me fix that. Maybe that'll help a little bit. Whoops. No. The tolerances in portraiture, as you know, are so subtle. It can drive you crazy, it really can. Anyway, I'm just about done, ready to move on from Sally. Let's do a little bit of hair before we go. I didn't do any hair on Jim, but let's do a little bit. The other principle that I'm teaching, again, I make no pretense. I'm not pretending to be a big dog portrait painter. By no means. I'm not pretending to be hot shot, good, can't hold a candle to Richard Schmid, Daniel Green, or 500 other artists I could name if I knew their names. Thanks, Wright. Yes, your family is now a part of the DAA. The other principle that I'm manifesting, modeling for you here, is the whole subject of quote-unquote cheating, which always raise a little bit of a hackle among some viewers when I use that term, but bear with me, let me explain. All cheating is legal. So what is cheating? Is measuring, gridding, tracing, projecting, all of those. Now, there's mild cheating and radical cheating. There's a range of cheating, and it's all legal. Go ahead, do it if you need to. No blame, no shame. But, and again, I'm sorry, you guys, you're tired of hearing this, but I'm assuming there's always somebody new watching. But as you cheat, you need to remember that your skills, what skills? Drawing skills, your ability to look, see, and draw, to look and copy. Your drawing skills are deteriorating. Because if you cheat, you don't get better at drawing, you get worse at it. Okay, so I don't know about you, but the prospect of losing skill freaks the pants off me. It's a good thing you can only see me with the pants down. from the chest, from the shoulders down today. I jest. So, therefore, hang on, I keep interrupting myself to paint. So this is my practice. I strongly recommend it to you, that whenever you paint anything, unless you're being paid and you're on the clock, like an illustrator, like I was for many years, unless you're being paid and you have a killer deadline. In that case, cheat right from the get-go. Otherwise, do it the hard way, like I'm doing right here. I'm not doing any cheating technique whatsoever. I'm just looking at this picture and painting it over here. So what's happening to my brain, if you will? What's happening to my mind? What's happening to my skills? My brain is growing so fast I can hear it squeaking. Oh wait, that's tinnitus. Never mind. My mind is, my skills are increasing. By golly, if I did this portraits thing all day, every day, like I did all last week, I'd get really good at this. Okay, so that's what I recommend. Start out not cheating. Start out just drawing and copying. Look, see, and copy. Just like what you thought an artist did when you were in third grade. That's what all third graders think artists do. Okay, that almost looks a little bit like Sally there. So that's a nice accident. I'm almost a little surprised because it's a little bit premature. Does that make sense? It's like, woo, I think I'm ahead of schedule in this one. So let me finish the formula then. So if you're doing a portrait and you don't cheat and you, so to speak, accidentally achieve a perfect likeness, what do? Sign it, deliver it, get paid. You're done. Yahoo. Last week that happened to me essentially on well, the painting of Kim for sure, and then a couple others. Well, the dog, but the dog, that doesn't count because our eyes are not as attuned to animals as we are to humans. But still, I did a good job on Chewy the dog, and I did a really good job on Kim, and I did a really good job on Jessica the bride. So I didn't really do any serious cheating on those two. Yahoo! The two boys, however, JJ and Jefferson, I cheated massively. Why? Because I had to. So that's what I recommend, is cheat when you must, but do it the hard way when you can, because you want your skills. And no matter how much you cheat, you're always going to have to end up, the cheating does not finish the painting for you. You're always going to have to end up using plain old-fashioned drawing skill, if you will. So there's no substitute, no matter how much you cheat. Grid, and anybody who's tried it, you know I'm telling the truth, because it didn't bring you to nirvana. It didn't bring you to the finish line. It did not. You had to do a whole bunch of work after the cheating was done. All right, I'm getting a little bit irritated. I think I had a better rendering of Sally a few minutes ago than I do now. So that's a really good sign that it's time to bug off. But you can probably write, you can probably tell who they are. Do you recognize your mother? Barely, right? Good enough, close enough. Here's where I started today. I started with this funny portrait. This client is calling it a portrait. It's actually a landscape with a figure in it, but if she's willing to pay me to do it, I'm willing to receive her money to do it. But I'm not going to go to that one right now. In fact, this painting, I might do the whole landscape without your company. We'll see. And then just bring you in what I'm doing. But I do want to go back now to Holly, the bride on a half shell. Oh wait, no, bride on a, there's a name for that kind of sofa, I forget what it is. Because the last time I looked at this painting was about an hour ago. Maybe slightly less, maybe 50 minutes. So the theory is, yes, painting live, looking at your thumb. You know, you've seen that cartoon, right? It shows the artist going like this, and then they show the painting. It's a painting of his thumb. Yeah. Let's bear with me just a minute. I want to see if I can restart my Facebook. The stream was so sketchy that we were losing viewers. People didn't stick around because it was frustrating. I don't know if I know how to change the Nope. All right. Never mind. Okay. We are just on YouTube now. All right. So the theory is, again, if you're catching my drift, the theory is I haven't looked at this painting now for about an hour. So I should be seeing it with fresh eyes. As you can probably tell, I've only worked on this painting one time. so far. Let's see how many mistakes I see right off the bat, so to speak, with hardly even trying. Let's see if I see a lot. And I'm going to use some shorter brushes. I did all of that drawing with long brushes. Did I answer your question, Uncle? How do you do a portrait without cheating? Yes, look and copy. Someone asked yesterday, can anybody do that? And the answer is yes. There are not many. I just told you that one of the best portrait painters in America messed up. That it may have been a rare moment for him. I don't know. He's very good. I keep talking about the old Chinese guys. I asked them, I said, what nationality are you? They were clearly Asian. And I said, what nationality? They said they were Chinese in Manhattan, that were the best I'd ever seen in my life. As you can imagine, being an artist, I tend to pay attention to those people that, you know, at festivals and fairs and so forth, sidewalk, that do the old draw your portrait in 25 minutes kind of thing. And usually, like you, I'm not that impressed. I mean, I'm impressed with I've tried it too, and I wasn't impressed with myself either. But these guys in Manhattan blew my socks off. I asked him how they did it. He said he started when the man I talked to said he started when he was 5. I don't know if he was exaggerating, but he's Chinese, so he probably wasn't exaggerating. My impression of the Asian mind. So yeah, some people can do it. Not many, not many, not many. And in fact, I'll tell you one of the carefully guarded secrets of real portrait snobs, the people that are really good and try to convey that they're really good, and they are. But of course, they never work, they quote unquote never work from photographs, they only work from life. But even that, the fact is, even that is a bit of a ruse, because almost all the people who ostensibly work only from live also use photographs. Wow, that actually looks a lot like that girl at the moment. Where's my rag? It's around here somewhere. Here it is. So the good news is it's working. Uncle, by the way, you and I both know, it's almost like a wink wink. We probably both know what's wrong with my Facebook feed. The answer is that I'm using my old Mevo camera. Shh, don't tell anybody. If I find that this art of broadcasting on 2 platforms at the same time is really worth it, I will probably invest in another Mevo Plus. So there you go. Shh, that's the first time I've told anybody that. And you of all people understand. So that, but besides that, we seem to be having a very good time yesterday without much interruption at all. But our internet seems to be dramatically slow today. I had a business associate in my studio earlier today, and we were downloading emails and images and so forth, and it was very frustrating. It turns out that Vimeo, the mother company of the Mevo camera, I can pay for a service to broadcast on more than one platform at the same time. I only discovered last week that it costs $75 a month. So if I was making a lot of money or had the prospect of making a lot of money at this broadcasting thing, I would do it. But dang, that's a pretty hefty for me. That's a bill I don't want to pay at the moment. So that's why I've been happily messing around with, something's not right there, isn't it? Oh, yeah, there. What am I thinking? I have got her shoulder way too far out. This line right here is too long. So, fairly easy fix. Let's just erase it and do it again. Way up here actually comes out right under her chin. And once again, I'm doing the Betty Edwards right side of the brain thing. I'm drawing the space. I'm focusing on the shape between her poofy sleeve and her lower half of her face. Ooh, my dog's too short. That's a relief. All of a sudden, it wasn't working out where her arm was intersecting with that dog. And I went, wait a minute, that dog's way taller than that. Whew. It is nice when you see those mistakes. I was definitely impressed with her deltoid and bicep there. I think I might have overdone it just a little bit. I keep messing around with the top of her head, don't I? First it's too low, then it's too high, then it's too low, then it's too high. Now I'm moving it down again. Shoulders. Let's just come down a tiny bit. Well, I fear what I'm doing is just a little too little too slow and meditative, even for me, for you guys. So I've said all I need to say. I'll be back, I hope, tomorrow. I don't think we're going anywhere tomorrow. How about you? For years, I've been meeting with a group of guys every Saturday morning at a coffee shop. That's out the window. The best we could do is drive through and meet at a park. But my guess is most of the guys would vote not to do that. I'll send them a text tonight. But anyway, so I get to paint tomorrow. It's kind of nice. Her head's too small. Her face is too small. Am I chagrined? Not too much. It's all part of the process. Last week when I was doing the portraits, I made at least one of my clients went through a real season of nervousness because, of course, most non-artists, in fact, half the artists don't even know the process that one often goes through with doing portraiture, which is 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And they were really concerned for a while that I wasn't capturing their grandsons. I had a little conversation with them through texting, and it was a lesson to me as well to make sure that I tell people that. I mean, it is a little bit irritating that to realize that how much most people have utterly no concept of what it's like to be an artist. Utterly none. And it's that way about music as well. All right. See, now I could cheat, like, in fact, the way a lot of the digital artists online do. You know, when they're doing a hyper-realistic thing, they don't show you that they're tracing with their Wacom tablet and their stylus, that they're tracing the image that is appearing on their screen like magic. Okay, I know what's the matter. This girl's head needs to be going at an angle, and I've got her looking straight across. All I've done there is just basically smudge out her face so that it's not driving me crazy. I'm going to leave you all. Thank you for your company. And tonight's Friday. I think that might be family night. We might watch a movie or something like that with the kids after a good, long, hard week of work. So I hope that you all have a happy, healthy, delightful, and peaceful Friday evening. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching, y'all. Bye-bye.